Good morning. Today we are going to start with the topic duties of an agent. Okay. Now the mutual rights and duties of principal and agent may be provided for by in the contract. Means in between the principal and agent there will be an agreement. In that agreement they will specifically mention about the rights and duties of each other. Okay. Therefore the duties which we are going to see are mentioned in law, like they are implied duties, but they can be controlled by the agreement between the principal and an agent. See, mutual rights and duties of principal and agent may be wholly provided for in their contract, but the following duties are general duties which are implied by law upon every agent unless they are modified or excluded by a special contract between the principal and agent. Okay. Now if you see the sections, section 211 states about agent's duty in conducting principal's business. Section 212 states about skill and diligence required from agent. 213 states about agent's account, means an agent is bound to give account to the principal when he is handling money of principal. Okay, now 214 agent's duty to communicate with the principal, means section 211 to section 221 they relate with the duties of an agent. Okay, now we will not go section wise, we will see just general duties which are mentioned. Okay, now what is the first duty of an agent? To carry out the work undertaken according to the directions given by the principal, means the principal is going to give directions to the agent how the work is going to be done, and those lawful directions he has to follow. He has to confine himself within the authority given by the principal because he is working on behalf of the principal. So, to carry out the work undertaken according to the directions given by the principal, this is the first duty of an agent. Okay, now if he does not do so, then there is a right of the principal that he can make liable the agent for not following his directions. He can get compensation from the agent. He can make the agent liable because he has faced the loss. But for third parties, the principal is liable. Okay, for the wrongful acts done by the agent. But in between the principal and agent, the agent can be made liable by the principal. So, one duty of an agent is a right of principal. So, duties of an agent are rights of an principal. Okay, now this is the first duty. Second is what? To carry out the work with reasonable care, skill and diligence. That is section 212. Okay, so he has been appointed, agent has been appointed for doing some work. The principal is having trust upon him. The principal is having confidence upon him. Therefore, he has appointed the agent. Therefore, agent has to do the work in a very careful manner. Okay, with applying his skill, and he has to actively do the work. So, the second duty is to carry out the work with reasonable care, skill and diligence. Okay. The third is to render proper accounts to his principal. That is section 213. An agent is bound to render proper accounts to his principal on demand. So, when he deals with money, he has to keep proper accounts. That is the third duty. The fourth is to communicate with principal in case of difficulties. If the agent is performing the work of the principal, while performing the work he faces certain difficulties, then he has to ask the principal that such and such difficulty has arisen, what I should do. It is his duty to communicate the principal. Now if he tries to communicate, but there is no contact between the principal and agent, then the agent can use his skill, his diligence, isn't it, his prudence, and he can decide something. He can take certain decisions, and these decisions are taken on behalf of the principal. Therefore, here agency is going to arise. We have seen this in creation of agency. Impliedly, in these circumstances, agency comes into existence. But before that, he has to try to communicate to the principal. He has to ask. If he is not able to, then only he can act on behalf of the principal by his own actions or his own skill. Okay. If he does not do so, means if he does not contact, he must bear the burden to pay the damages, means he has to pay the compensation which the principal faces. Okay, means he has to pay the compensation to the principal where the principal faces certain loss. Okay, this is the fourth. I'll just repeat. The first duty is to carry out the work undertaken according to the directions given by the principal. Second is to carry out the work with reasonable care, skill and diligence. Third is to render proper accounts to his principal. Fourth is to communicate with the principal in case of difficulties. Next is not to deal on his own account. Not to deal on his own account means he will not decide himself anything. On his own whim and wish, he cannot decide anything. He has to decide according to the principal's direction. Means if difficulties arises, if some problem arises, he has to ask the principal. And if he does not take the advice of the principal, if he acts on his own account, then what the principal can do? The principal can do two things. One, he can repudiate the transaction, that is, he can cancel the contract. And the second is, he can claim any benefit if the agent has received from this transaction. Means the first duty was what? He has to act according to his skill and all. He has to do the work. But while doing the work, he cannot apply his own mind. So not to deal on his own account. And if he does so, then the principal can either repudiate the transaction and he can claim any benefit if the agent has received from such a transaction. This is the fifth duty. The sixth is to pay sum received by the agent. Means the agent has to pay the amount to the principal if he has received on behalf of the principal. To pay sum received for the principal, because that is not his money. The money is of the principal, therefore he has to give it to the principal. But if some lawful deductions are there, means if the principal has not paid his remuneration and all, then what he can do? He can deduct that amount and the rest of the amount he can give to the principal. While doing this, he has to give proper accounts. This is the sixth duty. Okay. Now the seventh is to protect and preserve the interest of the principal in case of his death or insolvency. While the principal is living, he has to act on behalf of the principal. He has to do the work in the interest of the principal, isn't it? But when the principal dies, then also, see, when the principal dies, the agency comes into end. But though the agency has to comes to an end, he has to do all the reasonable things which he has to do after that death also. Means he has to contact his legal representatives. He has to tell that he was an agent. He has done this work, and hereafter he does not remain as an agent because the agency has come to an end. So he has to work in the interest of the principal to protect and preserve the interest of the principal in case of his death or in case of insolvency. Okay. Next is not to use information obtained in course of agency against the principal. While doing the work of an agent, he may come to know certain things, with certain confidential things which he has to keep. He should not make it open to the world. But if he does so, then he is liable to the principal. Okay. So not to use information obtained in course of agency against the principal. Mostly in business world, the opening of tender cases, they come in this area. Means the amount which the principal has submitted is known by the agent. So that amount the agent should not tell it to the others, because he has to work for getting the tender on behalf of the principal. Okay. Next is not to make secret profit from agency. The principal has appointed the agent in trust, isn't it? Therefore, he has to keep many things in confidential only. He should not make it open to the world. And if certain transaction he has to enter into, he should not make any secret profit also. Now, if he does so, then the principal is having a right to get that profit back. He can terminate the agency. He can make the agent liable for that. So here one duty is there on an agent, that he has to keep the matter secret. If he does not do, then the right is there to the principal that he can repudiate the transaction, he can repudiate the agency, and he can make the agent liable. Okay. Next is, he is an agent. He is not the owner or he is not the principal himself. He is just an agent. So he should not set up an adverse title. He is just an agent. His position is to protect the interest of the principal. Okay. So he should not create adverse title against the principal. He cannot deny the title of the principal. Okay. Now the next is, that is the 11th duty, is not to put himself in a position where the interest and duty conflict. he should not put himself in such a position that his duties and his interests conflict, and if they come in conflict, then he has to make everything open to the principal, okay, and he has to give importance to his duties. So his interest and duties, interest as an agent, interest as a for the principal, that interest, agent in the sense for himself, like he wants to sell his own property to the principal, then he has to make it open that this is my property, such and such amount, this is the market value. He should not take adverse advantage of the principal. So he should not do certain things where his position is such, where his duties and interests conflict, and if they conflict, then he has to give importance to duties. He is an agent. Principal has appointed him in trust. Okay, that is a fiduciary relationship between an agent and the principal. Okay, we have not yet completed here the duties. Only one duty is left, that we will see in the next video. Okay, bye bye.